Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fleeting Thoughts podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. I am Joe. In this episode, I'm going to be reading my book review of the book 1984, written by George Orwell. After that, I'm going to show you a preview of a new YouTube channel that I'm starting. It's going to start on January 1st. It's called Customer Service Man. It's a channel where I discuss customer service in general and react to good and bad customer service videos on the internet. Make sure to subscribe to that if you are interested. It's going to be on YouTube, obviously, or you can go to joesnotesblog.com/service to check that out. All of the information for this episode and more can be found at joesnotesblog.com. All right, let's get to it. This is the book review I wrote for George Orwell's 1984. Side note, I was born in 1984. And I will be doing this in a British, somewhat Cockney accent, inspired by those guys from Snatch. All right. Book review written by Joe Gray of the book 1984 by George Orwell. I wonder how many reviews there are of this book. Probably thousands. So, what could I possibly write or express that would be worth repeating? I can't expect to come up with something new to say about it. I'm certain people talk endlessly about the historical references to communistic countries like Russia and China during the first half of the 20th century. Places where millions of people were murdered by their governments, where the media was manipulated to show the virtue of the system and the evil of the enemy, where their leaders were venerated as living gods, where anyone that was inconvenient to the regime was imprisoned, tortured, and eventually killed, or left so broken they couldn't recognize themselves in a mirror. I shouldn't write about how the book shows a world where the government spies on everyone, which we just take for granted in the modern world. We joke about our Xbox recording us. Google thinks you're talking to it when you're not. Alexa gives away all your secrets when the right question is asked. Snowden showed us how the US is spying on anybody it wants. A world where the government runs the schools and convinces children to spy on their parents. That's in the book too. What hasn't been said about this book? What about the fact that it is a very stirring romantic plotline? A vision of secret love torn asunder by the needs of the many. A love destined to fail as it represents the thing the system can't have. What's the point of life if love is forbidden? Can love break through the pavement like a flower, or does it get the same poison as the rest? What can I say about this book that hasn't already been said? It's written in a way that seems like the ride at Disneyland. Follow me here, where the song "It's a Small World After All" plays continuously where you slowly float down an artificial river in an artificial world. Where little men and women pretend to be happy and wave to you, but you know deep down they are just pawns in a system that would toss them aside the first time a gear breaks. The book leads you into a world that is not unlike the world you live in, but for the ever-looming judgment of a confusing master. A perfect master that demands eternal obedience and adulation. A master that demands that not only do you obey, but that you believe. What can I say about this book other than it is dark, mesmerizing, and a third adjective hitherto unknown? Other than that, there's nothing. But wait, there's fucking more. I guess I could add something about the way this book made me feel. That's not something anyone else can know. While reading, I felt anxious for the characters as they tried to skirt around a surveillance system that seemed to be everywhere. The worst crime in the book is thought crime, where one's thoughts are rebellious to the state. I owed skepticism in our regard, and this book reaffirmed in my mind the need for the freedom to criticize the government and any other institutes with power over people. By the end, I felt hopeless. The author does not lead one down a path toward redemption. It is truly a tragedy, in that there is no hero and no resolution. I think that the author intended for the book to act as a cautionary tale of the dangers of seeking power, especially on a global scale, and of the dangers of giving power to institutes to dictate right and wrong. Or maybe freedom is only an illusion, and no matter where you are or who you are just a pawn to a system that emerges from elements that no one controls directly. A system that is built on a momentum of history and on a corruption of intentions. Or maybe morality has to be fought for, and subjugation should be met with resistance. I think that people naturally resist oppression, but they are not always up to the task. Sometimes they need help from others that share their notion of freedom. The problem with righteous groups with righteous intentions is that they can justify force no matter how barbaric. Such a tricky game we play when we play with power. I like this book, and its message is important. I recommend it to anyone that is interested in political philosophy or fiction set in a dystopian future. That's the fucking end. I'm Joe. I've been in customer service for over 17 years at a variety of businesses.
It's boogers all on the wall. Blood.
One of the issues that is not being addressed here is that they came into the situation upset and filming her. He says, "Can you give me a real reason?" Which is already argumentative, she is purposefully being vague, which they just started the interaction, so they shouldn't assume things of each other. For potential evidence reasons, if they are going to trespass them, that's totally legal. They can totally do that. I'm not a lawyer. Don't take any legal advice from me. But main lessons of this one are, I just make him the right hamburger, or give him a coupon. All right, that's going to fucking do it for this episode of the Fleeting Thoughts podcast. Thanks for listening. Go to joesnotesblog.com. We joke about our Xbox recording us. That sounds a little bit too fucking Australian. A vision of secret love torn asunder by the needs of the many. Oh, the fucking needs of the many. By the many. How do you say many? A love distant. A love distant. A love distant. Oh, fuck me. Like a fucking bloody flower. Well, can't love break through. Can love... Nope, I can't do that voice. That's wrong. Oh, fucking hell. The worst crime in the book is thought crime. You know when you fucking think and it's a crime. Where one's thoughts are rebellious to the state. Where one's thoughts... Stop thoughting wrong. You're thoughting bad. Who you are. Or, once more, or, maybe, morality, no matter here, barbaric. The problem, no, that's New Zealand, I think. Intentions, it's hard not to say that with a fucking Australian accent. Intentions, it's fucking built for it. I've got fucking great intentions, but I'll fuck it up most of the time. You know what I mean? Go to joesnotesblog.com. Not the fucking's not in there. Don't fucking put that in there. Don't put it in there. It's not, it's fucking wrong. That's hard to switch between those two because they're very similar. Go to joesnotesblog.com for links to all my social media.